that drinks good ale and goes to bed mellow. He that drinks good ale and goes to bed mellow.
I'm Frank Clark, and I'm the supervisor of historic foodways here at Colonial Williamsburg.
As he ought to do and dies a hardy fellow.
Well, we're lucky enough to have a number of brewing manuals that were written during the period that we can access through our library here and electronically these days. That really gives us endless recipes. One of the first steps in any process is to take the recipe and do some simple mathematics and reduce it down to a quantity of grain and liquid. And that allows us to make that ratio in any size we want. When we first did this, we started making beer following the recipe exactly as just scaled down. And the first version of porter that we produced came out at about 14.5% alcohol. This is more wine than beer. So extremely strong. We nicknamed it Vlad the Impaler. We realized quickly that that was not the original strength of this beer. And we started to try and figure out, well, why is our beer so much stronger than their beer was? And we began to realize that one of the things that's happened over the past 200 years is that the ingredients of beer, primarily hops and barley, have both been improved by breeding and by man and by science to become much more powerful, much more useful than they were originally. And so as a result of that, we realized that by using modern varieties of barley, we were making much, much stronger beers than they were 200 years ago, even following the exact same recipe, because the quality of the ingredients have been improved so much over this 200-year period. So what we then had to do is try and figure out how to scale back, how to compensate for this change in quality of ingredients. And one of the things we did with the porter was come at it from another direction. There was a gentleman who wrote a book in the late part of the 18th century named Richardson, and he used a device they called the sacrometer. By using this, you can figure out how much alcohol is in your beer. And when we did that, we realized that the porter that he's measuring is almost always about 6.5% alcohol. So that became our shooting point. We wanted to create a beer that ended up at about 6.5% alcohol in order to create a recipe that was probably closer to the original than just following the original recipe would have been. There are a number of different beer styles out there. Some of them, I feel like we have it as close to what it's supposed to be as we can. Others can always deserve tweaking. The 18th century brewer didn't have the science that the modern brewer has to rely on. That's one of the things that I've had to do is sort of unlearn my dependence on modern scientific methods of brewing that an 18th century person wouldn't understand. But you can't forget all of it, because they're doing some things that are technically speaking wrong in these recipes, and sometimes we'll have to change some of the processes. It's sort of a balance between trying to get as close to our vision of the original recipe as possible, and yet make it a beer that we would want to drink when it's finished. And so it's sort of a battle in a way to balance, what we know is right in terms of the science and the creation of beer, and what we know is right in terms of the history.
Drink again